We're so glad you're here. We're going to have a lot of great information from some of the actual members of the California Board of Accountancy as we are here for you on your road down the journey towards becoming a CPA. So I'm going to at first hand it off to one of our CBA members. She is our Secretary Treasurer, Ms. Christian Lotta. So we're going to have her begin this evening, and she can kind of tell you a little bit about the value of the CPA license and what it's meant to her in her career so far. So, Ms. Lotta, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Hemphill. Good evening, everyone. It's so nice meeting with everyone this evening. I'll be talking about the value of a CPA license. My name is Christian Lotta. I am a certified public accountant, and I have served on the California Board of Accountancy for a little over 2 years now. Currently, I serve as the Secretary Treasurer and have been doing so since November 2023. And I'm also chair of the Committee on Professional Conduct, which is one of our CBA committees. I would like to start by telling you about the many benefits achieving the CPA title provides. The public accounting profession has a long and important history, and the need for our services has never been greater. The skills that a CPA must possess are evolving to encompass the many technological advancements in the world today, and the Uniform CPA examination was recently updated to incorporate this new knowledge into the test as part of our CPA Evolution initiative. This way, future CPAs can be even more equipped to handle their clients' or companies' needs. This is great for both you as you prepare to enter the workforce and for maintaining the respect associated with the CPA profession in general. For my experience as a CPA, it's been really valuable because it is a very respected title, and in the business world, it is highly recognizable no matter what part of business you're usually in. If someone hears that you're a CPA, they know that you're a quality member of a team, you're very knowledgeable, you can handle a lot of complex topics, and our industry is very respected for those reasons. Also, it's been very valuable for me in terms of my career trajectory. It's enabled me to transition into other business industries for some time, and it always has that secure career security and stability. It's essentially a recession-proof career, as some people would say. No matter how the economy is doing, CPAs and accountants are always needed. So that's a very big bonus for our field. The other really cool thing about being a CPA is it's needed in any industry. So no matter what industry you're interested in, whether it's sports or entertainment or healthcare, it could be anything you're personally interested in, and that's something I recommend is like really plug in where you're interested. My current niche is fashion and beauty because that's something that I'm passionate about. So it's really cool to be able to transition that skill set to whatever industry you desire, which is not common for a lot of other fields that you're in. So I would say definitely take advantage of that. And also, once you get your CPA license after some experience in accounting, it provides that extra salary benefit as well. As long as you progress in your career, you'll definitely be able to command a higher salary by having that CPA license versus accountants who don't pursue that path. Another one of CBA's goals I'm excited about is to increase focus on diversity. Diversity is a key to the future of the accounting profession, as a board representation of employees brings different experiences, talents, and skill sets to unique client groups. With California being such an incredibly diverse state, the CBA feels that it is important for the various communities to see themselves reflected in the state's CPA population. So we want to help shape that next generation of accounting professionals, and that starts with a strong foundation in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I hope that helps you see the value a CPA license can have on your professional career. I look forward to speaking with you a little more during our panel discussion coming in a few minutes. But first, I would like to pass the presentation back over to our CBA Information and Planning Officer, David Hemphill, to give us a breakdown on the requirements for you to obtain your CPA license. Thank you for your time, and I wish you best of luck in your professional journey.
Very good. We appreciate that, Ms. Lata. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. For those of you who just jumped in, my name is David Hemphill, not a CBA member, but I am head of the communications and outreach team here at the CBA, and I'm excited to be here with you this evening to explain the requirements to qualify to take the CPA exam and ultimately for CPA licensure, and what the application process for both looks like. So you're about to hear a lot of detailed information. Take some good notes, but hopefully by the end of this, you'll have an understanding of what you need to do to earn your CPA license. Now, if you're unsure about anything I talk about, we will have a question and answer time at the end. So you can use the Q&A feature to pop in some questions, and we'll get to as many of those as we can at the end. All right, so let's jump in. First, an overview of the CPA exam itself, your first step towards CPA licensure. So the CPA exam, short for Uniform Certified Public Accountant Examination, is a national computer-based exam designed to test the skills and competencies you will need to enter the practice of public accountancy. As you probably heard, a new version of the CPA exam launched back in January. The changes, which were referred to as CPA evolution, were aimed at transforming the overall licensure model to focus more on the rapidly changing technological skills and competencies the accounting practice requires today and will continue to require in the future. The examination now includes 3 core sections in accounting, auditing, and tax that all candidates have to complete. Andrew, can you do something for me real quick? Can you send Manny the panelist password, please? Andrew, can you send Manny the panelist password? There you go. Now back to us. Each candidate must also choose one discipline section in which to demonstrate greater skills and knowledge. So the 3 discipline sections are business analysis and reporting, information systems and controls, tax compliance, and planning. It's important to say here that the discipline section you choose for testing does not mean you will be limited to that practice area once you get your license. There's only one CPA license, so you're free to practice accounting in any area. So what exactly do you have to do to qualify to take the CPA exam? The requirements are: 1, a bachelor's degree, can be in any subject. 2, you must have completed 24 semester units in accounting courses. And 3, 24 semester units in business-related courses. We call that the 24 and 24. Now, up until just a few years ago, you had to have all of that completed, your degree and the 24-24, before you could even apply for the CPA exam. But in 2021, a new law was passed that created more opportunities and flexibility for exam candidates. You can now apply for and start taking the CPA exam prior to completing your education requirements. In other words, even before you graduate. We call this early entry. When you're ready to apply for the exam, you will notice the CPA breaks candidates down into 3 options: early entry and 2 others. So let's talk about each one. They're A, B, and C, but since we're the CBA, let's do it in that order. We'll start with option C, which is early entry. So early entry is a pathway for candidates currently enrolled in an accredited university and within 180 days of graduating. Here's how it works. From the date we receive your exam application, you must complete your bachelor's degree and the 2024 within 180 days, which is about 6 months. So probably the next semester, right? So if you're heading into that final semester, you could be ready to do the early entry option. So when you're considering that, you've got 180 days to complete the education. Then you have 240 days, which is about 8 months, to prove it to us that you actually did it. So from the date we receive your early entry exam application, you've got 240 days to send in your transcripts, which is your evidence that you did complete all the education requirements. So 6 months to do it, 8 months to tell us about it. Option B is for candidates currently enrolled in a program that will result in the conferral of a bachelor's degree upon completion of a master's degree. And as you would expect, this option still needs to include the 24 accounting course units and 24 semester units of business-related courses. Then there's option A, which are the candidates that have already completed all of the education requirements, which are bachelor's degree, 24 semester units of accounting, 24 semester units of business related courses. You got it. See, I knew you were paying attention. Good job. So if you're applying as an option A or B candidate, when you're ready to apply, you should send your official transcripts to the CPA. There are 3 ways you can get them to us. Our preferred method is for you to order an electronic transcript to be emailed to the CPA using a CPA approved provider. So that way, no paper involved. You can find the list of CPA approved providers on the CPA website. The CPA has a dedicated email address to send your transcripts. It's cbatranscripts@cba.ca.gov. Have your transcripts, another option, have your transcripts mailed directly to the CPA from your school or schools if you've attended more than one. Third option is to obtain official sealed transcripts and mail them yourself, along with your CPA exam application remittance form. Here's an important thing to remember. You want to make sure that your degree has been conferred on the transcript. That's important because if it gets sent without the degree notated on the transcript, we'll have to ask you to send it again. That'll delay things a little bit. It's one of the most common issues actually when we review applications. So we're excited about you graduating too. So make sure your degree has been confirmed on that transcript before you send it. If you're applying for option C as an early entry candidate, you do not necessarily need to send in your transcripts at the time you submit your application, but there are other documentation that I'll talk about shortly. For those of you who may have taken education outside of the United States, you will need to have this education evaluated by a CPA approved credential evaluation service. The evaluation service will provide your evaluation to the CPA. And we do have the list of evaluation service providers also on our website at the address that you see. Now that you understand all of this, you're ready to apply, it's time to create your very own online CPA client account. So your client account will allow you to create application remittance forms, which I'll talk more about in a moment. You'll also check the status of your application here in this account. And once you start taking the exam, this is where you'll actually get to see your scores. Fingers crossed for passing scores. Even though you're creating your client account online, the application remittance form itself will still need to be printed, signed, and mailed to us along with the application processing fee. These forms cannot be submitted electronically at this time, although perhaps by the time you're ready to apply, they will be. We're working on this. So once you've completed these steps, your job for applying for the CPA exam is done. Then it's up to us to help you get approved. When we receive all your required documents for candidates that are option A or B, we will review those files to determine if you've met the requirements. If you've met them, then you're approved, you're ready to go. Congratulations. You'll receive an email notification with instructions on your next steps. If you don't meet the requirements just yet, we will email to let you know what's missing, and you can get to work on fixing it. For option C, early entry, candidates will be required to acknowledge and identify enrollment status during their client account setup, and will be asked to provide the following supporting documents: proof of enrollment, proof of educational requirements currently in progress, and proof of educational requirements completed. This can be accomplished in a few different ways, but all the certificate of enrollment form, which is important, all this information can be found on the CPA website. So that'll take care of the first couple, then transcripts would take care of the third. And remember, 240 days after you officially apply, if you're early entry, make sure that you have everything to us to prove that you have fulfilled all the educational requirements. If that doesn't happen, if it goes past the 240, you may not get credit for any exam sections that you may have already passed, and we definitely don't want that to happen. All right, congratulations, you are approved to sit for the CPA exam. Now the real fun begins. So your client account will be updated to allow you to begin selecting your exam sections. So remember, the new CPA exam has 3 core sections, and then you choose the 1 discipline section. The order you take them in is completely up to you. Most candidates do prefer to spread them out to allow themselves plenty of time to study, taking into consideration your work schedule, personal commitments, and the current testing windows, which we'll get into in just a moment. But now it's time to learn some acronyms that you're going to get to know very well once this process starts for you. So the first is ATT, which is not the wireless phone company. No, it's authorization to test. So when you select which section or sections that you want to take first, the CPA will send an ATT to NASBA, which is the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. You're going to get to know NASBA very well also. So once NASBA receives your ATT, a payment coupon will be issued to you, which will be good for 90 days. So make sure to submit your exam section fees to NASBA during those 90 days. This is important. Once you've paid the section fees, you can't change your mind about what sections you want to take. You can't add any or remove any. So if you need to make any changes, you have to request to us, the CPA, before you pay NASBA and prior, of course, to the expiration date of your payment coupon. Once NASBA receives your payment, you will be issued, here comes another acronym, an NTS. So that is called Notice to Schedule. So each NTS is valid for 9 months. Within this 9-month period, you need to schedule and sit for the selections or the sections that you selected during that ATT, which turned into the NTS. One more word of wisdom here. Make sure your NTS matches the spelling of your name on your ID cards exactly that you plan on bringing with you to the testing center. So they could potentially deny entrance if they're not exactly right. So if your information is not shown properly on your NTS, let us know right away and we will get that fixed for you. All right, you're all scheduled. Now it's time to get serious about prepping for the CPA exam. What do you think? Just one night, all night, caffeine-filled cram session, get some pizza, head down to the diner? No, that's not, you know that's not how it's going to be. There's definitely help out there because it's going to, these are tests that are going to require a lot of preparation. You'll be ready for it, but get that prep in. The exam is developed by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. They are AICPA. On their website, AICPA provides CPA exam blueprints where you can learn about the specific topics tested in each section or discipline. There's also sample tests there, tutorial topics that will help you prepare for and hopefully pass the CPA exam. These are all very big helps, which I encourage you to take advantage of. So when you're ready to schedule your exam, you'll get to know a company by the name of Prometric. So they operate testing centers all around the world, and they will administer the CPA exam to you. Schedule your exam section by using Prometric's online scheduling tool or by contacting them over the phone. Prometric testing centers are normally open 6 days a week. The CPA always encourages test takers to schedule as early as possible, as slots fill quickly. The CPA allows you to test at any of Prometric's locations in the United States, District of Columbia, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and Guam. So once you've got your exam scheduled and the day arrives, here are a few more tips. So we recommend you arrive early, at least 30, if not 45 minutes before your appointment. That'll give you plenty of time to relax, locate the testing center, find parking. You never know how that's going to be. Complete the check-in process. You don't want to feel rushed or stressed at all before such an important test. And don't forget, bring your paper NTS and valid and unexpired identification with you. Without these, you will not be allowed to test and you will lose the exam fees that you paid. All right, it's important to keep in mind when you're ready to schedule that currently there are specific dates that the core and discipline sections are available. Prior to the new version of the CPA exam going live in January, you could take any section of the test virtually any day of the year. But right now, things are a little different here in the first few months of the new exam. The core sections are offered almost continuously. If you look at the dates there, it's only a few days each quarter where it's unavailable. You see, like between June 26th today and July 1st, there's a few days where it's not available. However, if you look at the discipline sections where it says core discipline, test dates there, you'll notice they're only offered right now for about 1 month in each quarter. So you really need to plan ahead for that. This is so test administrators have plenty of time to see how candidates are performing on each section, scoring the sections properly. Once things settle in, they've assured us that it will start getting closer to how it used to be. But for example, if I wanted to take one of my sections tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to. As you see, neither one of them are offered currently until July 1st. So just make sure before you set off down your CPA road and start taking the CPA exam that you are aware of the scheduling. We want to provide you with a roadmap for success along your CPA journey. All right, congratulations. You took the exam. You're all scheduled. You in? You feel good about it? Yeah, I think you did well. I think you did well. All that studying paid off. So now, how long do you have to wait to find out if you passed? And how do you get your score? So right now, the target score release dates are a little longer than they normally are compared to when you took your exam section. Again, before January, you might have received your score within a week or a month after you tested. But as you see on this slide, everyone who took a course section here in the second quarter, which just ended yesterday, will receive their score on July 31st. So that includes people who took the test way back in April. So again, these dates are going to tighten up as we progress through these early days of the new exam. So maybe by the time you're ready to take it, it won't be quite as long of a wait, but for now, just want you to be aware of that. If you take a core section of the exam in July, the next available testing date, you can expect to receive your score approximately just in time for Halloween on October 31st. If you take a discipline section of the CPA exam next month in July, you can expect to receive your score on or around September 10th. So you can view all those target score release dates on the AICPA website. Now, when your score is released, like I mentioned earlier, you will receive it in your online client account. NASBA will release everyone's scores to the CBA, and then they are automatically uploaded to your account, generally the night of the target release date. For security reasons, scores cannot be released via email or telephone. A score of 75 or higher is the magic number. 75 or higher means you passed. Nice job. To pass the entire CPA exam, you'll need credit for all 3 core sections of the exam and your chosen discipline section within a 30-month period. So the date you pass your first section starts the clock ticking on this 30 months. So that's 2.5 years. If one of your exam credits expires prior to passing all 4 parts, then you will need to retake that section. Scores do not expire once all sections are successfully completed within that 30-month period. So in other words, once you pass the CPA exam, you passed. There's no expiration date or countdown until you have to apply for your CPA license. Once you pass the exam, you are good. We'll send you a congratulatory letter once you pass the CPA exam with information on your next steps to be working on your CPA license. All right, what exactly are your CPA licensing requirements and application process to attend and to apply for your CPA license? Here we go. You met most of the educational requirements when you were qualified to sit for the exam, not quite all of them. So here's the other ones you need to look out for. So there's 20 semester units of accounting study. So this is in addition to the 24 accounting subjects that you were required to pass to take the CPA exam. Remember the 24. So there's an additional 20 of accounting study. Then there's 10 semester units of ethics study. 3 of those 10 must be in a course in accounting ethics, accountant's professional responsibilities, auditing, or fraud. And then we need a grand total of at least 150 semester units, or 225 quarter units if you're on the quarter system. So that can be all together, add up everything you've ever taken in college. That can even be community college if it's on your transcript. So those are the additional educational requirements. There's also an experience requirement for CPA licensure. You'll need to complete a minimum of 1 year of general accounting experience under the supervision of an actively licensed CPA. That's an important part. So when accepting job offers, it is best to inform your employer of your intent to pursue a CPA license to make sure they are eligible to sign off on your experience. You wouldn't want to go through it and then realize that they're not licensed, or perhaps they've gone inactive during your time, because then it's not going to count towards your 12 months. So just make sure you're on top of that. It's also a good idea to have that experience form signed and submitted to the CPA once you complete the 1 year, regardless of whether you're ready to apply or not. We will hold on to that form for you until you're ready to apply. We recommend this because applicants and supervisors might change jobs or relocate. Sometimes it's difficult to locate your signer at a later date if you wait. Completion of the general accounting experience requirement does allow you to perform all of the services of a CPA except for signing reports on attest engagements. So attest services include audits, reviews of financial statements, and examinations of prospective financial information. As a general licensee, you can participate in these attest functions, but remember that you cannot sign them unless you have these extra hours. So if you want to be able to sign reports on attest engagements, you will need to complete a minimum of 500 hours in attest functions during your employment under the supervision of a licensed CPA who must also be authorized to sign reports on attest engagements. Then you will have that experience. All right, so once your education and experience requirements have been satisfied, you're almost there. Just a couple more things you must do in order to obtain your CPA license. One of those will be submitting fingerprints, which will be used to conduct a criminal history background check. Authorization and information on how to complete this will be sent to you after we receive your CPA application. The other one is actually changing. So there's something called the Professional Ethics or PEF examination. It had been a component of licensure for several decades, but with the implementation of the new CPA exam in January, it's created a duplication of content. So a lot of similar questions. We've learned that students gain and are tested on that knowledge elsewhere, in addition to the new CPA exam, like within your courses at college as well. So that requirement for the PEF exam is actually going away in 5 days on July 1st. So we will no longer be requiring the completion of the PEF exam in order to receive a CPA license. So it's actually been replaced with a new requirement. So once you're licensed, you will need to complete a CBA approved regulatory review course for your first renewal. So the first time your license renews, you will now have to complete one of these regulatory review courses. So by the time you're ready to apply for licensure, unless you're applying in the next 4 days, the PEF exam, actually, yeah, I won't go, it's confusing, won't go into all that. The PEF exam will be definitely a thing of the past. So just want to note, the CPA is upholding strong professional standards. It's really important to us that the accounting profession demands. So just want to make it clear, we're not relaxing or loosening the ethical requirements to become a CPA. We still need you to be the best of the best. It's just a different way of going about doing that. So now that you know all of the requirements, I'm going to take just a brief moment to let you know about some conversations that are being had on the national level, which could potentially impact you depending on when you'll be ready to apply for your CPA license. People are talking about more changes to the overall licensure model. Things being discussed are whether the 150 unit requirement could be modified to perhaps include ways to earn some of those units through additional experience. Other proposals would require only a bachelor's degree, but maybe add on a second year of experience to replace those extra 30 units that many students need to reach the 150. This way, candidates could be earning money while they're on the road to a CPA. It's a good thing, and possibly not to have to spend additional money on more schooling. Many interesting ideas are out there being discussed, and it'll be fascinating to see where the consensus may end up. All just proposals at this time, but most states around the country will most likely have to be in agreement with any sort of plan before it can effectively move forward. But if you're still a few years away from going for your license, just know things might be changing by that time. The CBA is actively participating in these discussions and have been speaking about them at the last few CBA meetings, with another report coming at the next CBA meeting, which is July 25th and 26th. All right, so when you're ready to apply for your license, back to the CBA website. So the entire application process is now done online. You can submit your CPA application, upload supporting documents, pay the processing fee, and if you choose, you can pay the initial licensing fee with a credit card right then, which will speed things up on the back end. When you're submitting your application, you do need to include an email address so we can notify you more quickly if there is anything needed to complete your file. You see on the slide, it still says mail-in paper application. That's the old way we used to do it, which is still an option. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's out there in case you really want to have a stamp and go to the post office and all that good stuff. Once the CBA receives your application, hopefully online, and your fees, you will receive an acknowledgement email, including the authorization and instructions for getting fingerprinted, like I mentioned. So that'll be done through live scan. A form will be provided to you, or if you are outside of California, it'll be fingerprint cards that we will provide to you. CBA staff will review the application, notify you of your outcome. Generally happens within 30 days, although currently it's only taken about 2 weeks. And we do post the processing times weekly on our website and social media pages. If an application is approved for licensure, the CBA will provide you with either an approval notification or a pre-approval notification with instructions to submit your initial license fee if you didn't do that when you applied. If your application is not approved, you need to improve it, and you'll be sent a letter advising what items are outstanding, and you will have 12 months to resolve the deficiency. All right, really quickly, just want to make sure you know lots of web sources on our website that'll help you during this process for either the CPA exam or license. There's a self-assessment worksheet that will help you track your classes, plan for any future education. There's a recently refreshed educational tip sheet that breaks down all the requirements, kind of talking about 24, 24, the 20 and the 10, all in a nifty little sheet there. That's all helpful on the website. You'll find all of this and more when you click on the Applicants tab of our website. You'll find the online applications, links to various forms. You see it circled right there. Other flyers called Quick Tips for both the exam and licensure, frequently asked questions. So just go into applications there, and there's lots and lots of great information for you. We do offer special licensure assistance programs for past and present military personnel and their spouses or domestic partners, as well as refugees, asylees, or special immigrant visa holders. The CBA actually has a dedicated military or refugee liaison. Her name is Jennifer Jackson, and she can assist you. For more information about that, you can see right there where the military refugee section of our webpage is, and you can see all the resources there. So the CBA understands the time and commitment you make when you're pursuing your CPA license. We really want to make this process as seamless and easy for you as possible. So in addition to all that help available on our website, CBA staff is dedicated to assisting you every step of the way. So if you have a question you can't figure out the answer to tonight, we encourage you to email us at these email addresses, anything as you're going for the examination, right there, exam info, anything about licensing is licensing info. More general questions, you can reach me at the outreach inbox. So jot down all those, take a photo of that slide, and then use those addresses if you need us. It's also on the Contact Us section of the website. I also highly encourage you to follow us on social media, LinkedIn, X, Facebook, lots of great updates there. We even recently started an Instagram page. We don't have too many followers yet, so we could use your help, please. We're only at about 100, so get us up there. Find us _CBA News. So all of those will help you stay informed on any new developments at the CPA. So thank you so much for listening, for the opportunity to present for you. I know that was a lot of information I just gave you. We will try to answer some of your questions at the end if possible. So we'll do the Q&A feature on that. All right, so I'm now going to see if I can get in our president, Joe Rosenbaum, which I believe he is on there. So President Rosenbaum, can you speak? And he's going to tell you a little more about us and the CBA and what we do and why we're here. President Rosenbaum, take it away.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can. Hallelujah.
Oh boy, you can hear me, but you can't see me. My apologies for this. Unfortunately, just not able to join with you in video. Anyway, I'm sorry I missed a lot of the presentation while attempting to cure this problem. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about the CBA. Well, first of all, as David mentioned, thank you. My name is Joe Rosenbaum. I'm the president of the CBA currently. I am a CPA and first licensed back in 1987 and have been practicing public accounting ever since then. I want to tell you a little bit about what our board does. As you probably can guess, the board is responsible for a number of things for the management and regulation of the practice of accountancy in California. We issue CPA licenses to those who have met our requirements, as you undoubtedly have been through in detail just now. We also do a few other things, one of which is enforcement. So we refer to that CPA's gone bad, but that's something we take very seriously when someone has has breached the standards that we expect. The Board of Accountancy regulates some 115,000 licensees in California, which is by far the greatest number in the country. So we really do have a fairly big job. We've got 100 individuals who are assisting, 100 staff, in addition to the appointed board members, of which Christian and Teresa are a part of. We also have 3 advisory committees that assist us along the way. We have something called the Qualifications Committee, which reviews applicants' qualifications for CPA license. We have a peer review committee, which monitors our peer review program, and that's one by which CPA firms are evaluated by other CPA firms to make sure that they are keeping up with sort of generally accepted standards of auditing. And finally, we have the Enforcement Advisory Committee, and that's how I got familiar with the California Board of Accountancy. For 8 years, I was on the Enforcement Advisory Committee prior to my role here on the main board. So that's a little bit about the board. Again, if you have any additional questions, we're going to have a panel discussion and question and answer session. So, David, that's all for me at the moment.
Yes, so we're going to go and let me introduce you to another member of the CBA right now, and that is Ms. Teresa Thompson. So thank you for joining us, Teresa. I'll let you kind of introduce yourself when we ask one of the panel questions. So just for everyone with your questions, go ahead and use the Q&A feature if that is available to you, which I believe it is. If not, we can put it in the chat, but we're going to try to go through the Q&A feature because that's kind of an easier way to do that. So I want to kind of go through, so I'll welcome back Ms. Christian Lotta, and we've got President Rosenbaum, and then we're working on we have a member of one of the committees that President Rosenbaum just referred to, the Enforcement Advisory Committee. We have member Jason Russell. We're going to try to get on over the phone as well momentarily. But I kind of want to go around to each of you. Why don't we start with you, Ms. Thompson, since we haven't heard from you yet. So why did you decide to become a CPA, and why would you recommend that our viewers tonight should consider it as a career? And tell us a little bit about what you do at your firm.
Sure, yeah. Can you guys all hear me okay, I hope? Excellent. I hope my internet behaves itself. It was a little squirrely at the beginning of this call, so if I drop or get disconnected, I will try and rejoin as soon as possible. But it's good to connect with you all. My name is Teresa Thompson. I am a board member on the California Board of Accountancy. I am also a partner at PwC. I specialize in state and local tax, and sort of my unique subspecialty is asset and wealth management. So my mix of clients is very specified. It's private equity, venture capital, real estate, hedge, that sort of space. Long story short about me is I'm originally from LA. I went to Santa Clara University in the Bay Area for college. I started at PwC as an intern between junior and senior year, so I've spent my entire career here. And I started in the Bay Area before I transferred down to Los Angeles in 2018. I've been on the CBA since October of 2023, so a little bit of a newer member, but I am happy to share my experience and insight with you all. David, I think just to make sure I remember the question now.
Just kind of tell us a little bit about
why I
how
decided
you
to become a CPA. Is that the premise of it?
What attracted you to the position and kind of how you got started with it?
And I think my internet might be acting up right now. Am I still with you guys?
We hear you. We hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, things
Yeah.
are freezing on my end. I'm just going to keep talking, and if you can't hear me, let me. Okay. So, why did I decide to become a CPA? When I started college, I was actually thinking I was going to become a finance major, and I don't know, work at a big, brokerage house or an investment manager or something like that. So I did know at least sort of directionally where I wanted to go, and that was what I started studying at Santa Clara. Um, as most of you are familiar, you take an intro to finance, intro to marketing, intro to accounting class if you are a business major. So in my intro to accounting class, I actually had a fantastic professor. He was very down to earth, he was helpful, he made the profession sound exciting. And I liked the content of my accounting classes a little bit more than my finance class. And so I made the very short leap and decided to change to accounting. And from there, I learned all about the CPA exam and how critical it is for the industry and just how it can secure longevity in the field. And I really just kind of maintained the course after identifying accounting as a major and knew that I wanted to get my CPA based on what everyone else around me had said and recommended, and started that process studying for the exam shortly after I graduated college. So not a terribly exciting story, more of just kind of doing things as they were recommended to me based on people I trusted, and then me myself actually enjoying the material that I was learning.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Well, let's go to the other face that we can currently see, Miss Lotta. Tell us a little bit about what originally attracted you to becoming a CPA.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so for me, I grew up in the high desert and I actually went to college at the University of Louisville in Kentucky, mainly because cheerleading was my passion at the time and I wanted to cheer at one of the best colleges in the nation. And while I was there, there wasn't really a specific area I was leaning towards. I was undecided at first. And then I decided to go into business, mainly for financial stability because of, how I grew up. I really wanted to have that recession-proof career because I had seen people older than me choose less stable degrees and like graduate college and they couldn't get jobs, and I didn't want that to be me. So yeah, I similar to Miss Thompson, I also was a finance major first, and my intro to accounting professor was a rock star, and I loved her, and she made it seem so interesting. So because of that, I also kind of in the third quarter changed my degree from finance to accounting as well. And then, you know, the recommendations are to go to a public accounting firm. So I followed the path as well. I started at a smaller regional firm in Orange County. And that's where I stayed at the beginning of my audit career. And yeah, it's just known that if you want to get promoted to that next level, that senior accountant level, you have to get your CPA license. So again, like Miss Thompson, once I decided accounting was the path to go, I wanted to get that CPA license and further my career. I think it's a really great place to start your accounting career is to go straight into a public accounting firm where you feel comfortable and you're getting growth and training. And yeah, you'll have a lot of support along the way. The firms are generally very supportive of you on that journey. So yeah, that's my choice of why I became a CPA.
President Rosenbaum, do you want to chime in on this?
Oh, sure. I'll see if I can do that. So my story is possibly a little different. I actually thought that I really wanted to be a corporate litigator. I really wanted to be a lawyer. And so when I went to college, I had a family lawyer friend tell me that I should not major in things like English or political science because that's what everyone was doing at the time. But he said, you really should major in something with a little more substance, like accounting or engineering or something like that. So anyway, I chose accounting. And so I graduated, I actually graduated in 3 years and was in law school when I was just before I turned 21. So I was really anxious to begin a legal career. I had a little bit of a detour though during law school. I had started an on-campus student. It was like a business club, but it's called ISEC, AIESEC. I don't know how busy or active they are these days. But the idea there was we arranged internships in our town in exchange for internships in someone else's. And it's an international organization. I had the opportunity to join Arthur Andersen in Holland, in The Hague, as an intern for 6 months. And so I thought, well, that sounds like fun. I wasn't really looking to be an auditor, but I would certainly welcome a chance to get a paid vacation and do a little work in another country. So I did that, and I really enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the travel. I was asked to continue, so I went back again. I spent 2 busy seasons in Zurich, Switzerland, doing auditing. Well, I came back to the States, but I really had decided that maybe auditing wasn't for me. I wasn't going to be an auditor. I was going to go back. I'd graduated law school. I'd passed the bar exam. I was going to become, go to law school, but I had made a commitment to come back to the San Francisco office. So I did. And I probably would have left the profession at that point had I not been assigned to a special project, a forensic accounting project. And that basically convinced me to stick with accounting. So I had not taken the exam at that time, but I made a decision that probably was going to be something that I could do. Forensic accounting, for those of you who don't know, forensic just means, related to the court. The kinds of things that we do are investigations of financial fraud, misstatements of financial statements, embezzlements. Sometimes we'll testify in court for damage calculations, things like that. There's a whole group of CPAs that deal in family law and valuing businesses when couples split and there is a family-owned business. So anyway, I then took the exam, and let me tell you, it's a heck of a lot harder to take the exam after you've been out of school for several years than it is to take the exam either while you were in school or shortly thereafter. But I was able to pass, and I have spent the rest of my career doing forensic accounting at big firms and now as a solo practitioner for the last several years.
That's great. That's a great story. Thank you, President Rosenbaum. Now I'm happy to introduce, we do have audio only as well, Mr. Jason Russell. So he is on our Enforcement Advisory Committee. So one of the 3 advisory committees that President Rosenbaum mentioned earlier. And I know he's kind of more of a tax guy. So I would love to hear your story, Jason, on how you kind of got into the profession, and then tell us a little bit about your day-to-day life as a CPA. Welcome. Let me see if I can unmute you.
There we go. Hello?
You got it. Take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Jason Russell, and I am a CPA in the Sacramento region. I got into accounting by initially being a marketing major, and because some of my friends were in that. And the school that I went to had a pretty rigorous marketing program that seemed like a lot of work, and the accounting program seemed pretty easy. So I decided to shift to the accounting program, and would soon learn that it wasn't as easy as I thought it was, but I did a lot better with numbers than I did with sales, which is kind of what I thought marketing was. So then the college that I went to kind of had the attitude, which I think is great, that if you're going to be an accounting major, you're going to take the CPA exam, which really is how colleges should approach it, and I appreciated that. So we basically spent the 4 years in undergrad focusing on taking the CPA exam to the point where it really wasn't a question when that time came up. So I graduated college. Back then, you had to graduate before you could sit for the exam, and I sat for the exam, and then I passed, thankfully, all of it the first time. And I went and worked in industry because at the time, industry was paying more, and it took me a few years of working in industry to realize the value of actually having those 3 little initials after my name and how much more valuable they'd be in the future. And I can speak to that as a person that's hired CPAs and has worked with them for the last 25 years. So I went back into work in public accounting and began doing all the required audit work, because at the time you had to do audit work. Did that for about 10 years and was kind of getting bored, and I took a job with a smaller firm that was lacking in the tax expertise. So I decided to use the opportunity to work on my master's degree, which I haven't quite finished yet, but am close to my master's in taxation, and became the tax expert, and now am the tax partner in the firm that I work with. So kind of a roundabout way, and kind of didn't necessarily plan on becoming a CPA, but honestly, as I look back over my career, I'm really happy at the decision I made and the relatively short sacrifices that you have to take by taking a test or working for certain entities, because the value of the CPA license has just allowed my career to grow exponentially.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's what we keep telling people, and I like hearing it from actual CPAs. So that's it's worth your while, everyone out there, to head down this road, and that's why we're going to try to make it as paved as possible for you, right? As few road bumps as possible. You can potentially ask some questions of our panelists in the chat if you would like. I may or may not ask them, but if you maybe do have a specific question about maybe something that they do, we could potentially do that. I want to talk about something that's kind of on everybody's mind these days, and that's AI, right? It's going to take all the jobs away from us. There's going to be no jobs left for us poor humans. So I'm being sarcastic, of course. But I'm curious from our panelists, what impact is AI having on the profession already that you've noticed, and where do you see it going down the road? Can I start with you, Ms. Thompson? What are you seeing? Anything in your firm so far?
Sure. Yeah. No, AI has taken over my job and I can retire early. I'm totally kidding. That is a joke. Very far from the truth. And that is not even directionally where the industry is going. So practically, how do I use AI? How does my team, how does the firm use AI? It has helped us pretty significantly with modeling, projections, benchmarking, any type of data heavy analysis, and processing and presenting those items in digestible bits for the team members and myself to then layer in to planning and structuring. So it's really just made us more impactful for our clients. It has not substituted any engagement team member, any individual, things like that. It's really used as a tool, or I have practically seen this used as a tool to digest just a volume of data information and analyze it and present summaries in a way that would historically take months for, 10, 15, 20 team members to delve into. So it has increased, it's been hugely beneficial. It's increased turnaround time. The scope, the total population that we're able to access is broadened, and our clients are getting more timely information. They're getting a more thoughtful, thorough analysis, and it's leading to even more work and even more projects. I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with the story of ATMs in the banking industry. It's very commonly cited and referred to in the accounting industry, but the short version of it is when ATMs first came on the scene in the 80s, early 90s, whenever it was, all of the bankers were nervous that they were going to lose their jobs, that they would become replaced with machines, and that there would no longer be a need for people to come into the bank. And I don't exactly have the numerical statistics, but what happened was the banking industry got even bigger because they were able to upskill their tellers to look into lending and mortgages and small business support and things of that nature. They no longer had to just do debits and debits and credits, withdrawals, and deposits. They got to do more exciting things. So that is how I see AI continuing to impact the accounting industry. I do not see it at all as a replacement. I see it as an efficiency that is going to allow teams to upskill and do more exciting work.
And that's the exciting thing about it, right? Hopefully we add on the benefits of the computer knowledge on top of the human skill and take things to the next level. That's great. Thank you for sharing all that, Ms. Thompson. I'll kind of throw it out to the other three, if whichever one of you want to kind of chime in. If you have any other thoughts on the AI conversation, just jump in.
Jason Russell here. I will second Ms. Thompson's usage of AI. We're utilizing it to effectively audit the tax returns that we put together. So we're putting them together, and then we're running it through kind of a data analytic to see kind of what we would assume or basically assuming the IRS is going to look at and see what kind of stands out in the documents that we prepared, just kind of as a check. It's also helpful for our clients when we didn't necessarily prepare the return, but they are being audited, so they've come to us for help. And I've been working on building a little algorithm for us to drop those returns in and kind of get an idea of where either the state of California, which is the majority of our clients, or IRS is coming after these particular individuals for deviations in their data sets on their tax returns.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
David, this is Joe. Just a couple of quick things. One is kind of, leveraging on the ATM story. I'm the old man here on this call, and I can tell you when the PC came out, that was something that that everyone in the in the auditing world thought was really going to change things and put us out of business, because at the time we actually had to do things with pencil and paper, and obviously that did not have any negative impact. It was such a positive change for the profession as a whole. The only other thing I would say, just from my particular standpoint in the forensic thing, one of the issues that we're facing right now is how it might complicate cross-examination if one were to use AI in any way to help do some of the analysis for their expert testimony. Because as you can imagine, when you're testifying in court, you get to testify as to all the things you've done, but the opposition gets to ask you lots of questions about how you came to your opinion and whether it is in fact your own opinion or whether you were artificially helped. So that's something that hasn't yet been much of an impact, but it's something that that is being talked about now. So that's just another aspect of it.
All right, let's shift and talk a little about the ethics requirements. California does have rigorous ethics requirements, both pre-licensure and now post-licensure with the regulatory review course. So why is ethics such an important role in the accounting profession? I mean, it makes sense that it is, but from your perspective, who are actually out there, living it, being CPAs every day, why do ethics play such an important role? Ms. Lotta, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Hemphill. So ethics is really important internally and externally, whether you're in public accounting or if you're in private industry, especially in private industry specifically. As CPAs or accountants, we see a lot of sensitive and confidential information. So it's really important that we have an ethical point of view so that we're not sharing information with other people or employees that could be detrimental to the organization if it got out. So internally, it's really important for us to be trusted individuals and that we can govern or manage that information with confidentiality. Externally, we are often auditing financial statements for banks, for investors, other stakeholders. So they're really relying on us to make sure that whatever opinions we're giving or whatever we're signing off on, that they can trust that those numbers are accurate. And we're making sure that there's no fraud or material errors happening because that information is used for a lot of different decisions, acquisitions, lending. So for those reasons, it's really important. And then overall, I think our industry is known to be trusted, and we have lost that trust in the past from, the huge Enron, Arthur Andersen. I think we've all learned about that in our accounting classes. And it took a lot for us to earn back that public trust. So yeah, I think it's mainly, it's important to maintain that public trust so that when people see that CPA behind your name, or they have you on the team, or they know you're an auditor, they know that they have someone they can trust that's going to make sure the information is accurate and complete.
Mr. Russell, do you want to chime in on this one?
Sure. As Ms. Lothal was just mentioning, we are CPAs, the most trusted advisors of any business owner. ADP does a study every year, and since they started the study, I believe in the late 90s, the CPA has ranked by far as the #1 most trusted advisor of any small business owner. I think it's obvious why they trust us more than the attorneys, but we're also trusted more than financial advisors and everything. I think that the strong ethics requirements are one of the reasons why we are trusted so much, and I think that that's something that we should be very proud of and something that adds a lot of value to being a CPA. To the professional side of it, we do have a lot of data. We have basically everything you need to steal a client's identity in our systems and at our fingertips. And so, having the ethics to know that we can't use that data in any nefarious way is good, and it's something that we all should protect. So I know in our office we're on top of that, especially with technology making the ability to share things so easy.
Yeah,
Mr.
and
Rosenbaum?
oh,
Oh, sorry. Ms. Thompson, go ahead.
sorry about that. I was just going to add, from the lens of public accounting, we are client service. So you are dealing directly with someone on the other side of these transactions, whether they're, the CFO, the VP, the controller. And I, again, specialize in tax. I don't know how many of you have taken a tax class, but the answer to nearly every tax question is it depends. It is very rarely a white or a black answer. We have statutes and regulations and case law and rulings to help guide us and make interpretations, professional interpretations. But nearly every day, in some instance, there is an unanswerable question. And so we are working with clients to say, hey, this is interpretation X, this is interpretation Y, this is what we're recommending. And, clients don't like paying taxes. You guys on the phone probably don't like paying taxes. I personally don't love it myself, but we do it. And many, many times my teams are met with, well, do I have to do it that way? What if we just do it this way? What if we made this interpretation? What if I just never, what if we just didn't have that information? And the challenge is not only to maintain professionalism, but to maintain, strong ethics. We cannot advise that we just look the other way, or we cannot advise that a client take a particularly aggressive or avoidant tax position. We always have to sort of stay the course, and I'm always relying on other folks to consult with here. I've got OGC, I have a risk management team, I have other partners in my practice that I work with regularly. So I will say ethics is a foundation that you will fall back on nearly every day of your career. And it's not going to be in the big, glamorous, exciting, oh my God, this is fraud, or oh my God, this is embezzlement. It's going to be more of, if I take this interpretation, tax could be zero, but if I look at this case, tax could be $1 million. Now, where do we fall in the middle? That's the practical everyday application of ethics and presenting all sides of the story to clients or your team and making sure that you're being thoughtful in your approach and the disclosures.
Thank you for that. President Rosenbaum, do you want to finish this one up?
I don't think I can add anything further to that discussion.
Yeah, good. All right, I have an interesting question that I'll pose to you, Ms. Thompson. From the chat, a couple of people have actually talked about outsourcing, kind of an interesting topic. So I guess that would be the other elephant besides the AI. So said that he's seen, discussions about firms moving some labors outside the U.S. So how valuable is the CPA license then to all of us accountants? So what would you speak to that as someone who is working in a big firm?
Yeah, totally. That's a great question. So to whoever asked that, outsourcing is huge in public accounting. It is huge and it is necessary, and we cannot hire enough. We can't hire enough outside the US. We can't hire enough inside. Outsourcing is not a final solution. It is an enhancement that we, the industry generally, have really been making an investment in, especially in the last 10 years. PwC has, we call them acceleration centers. They are professionals that sit outside of the US that are specifically tasked with supporting US-based teams. We work with teams in India, Argentina, the Philippines, Mexico City, all over the place. And they are necessary and hugely beneficial. They allow us to take on really large scale work products it would be nearly impossible to turn around some of my clients with over 10,000 tax filings in 3 months without them. And it would be impossible to then replicate that across 8 to 10 other clients. So outsourcing is necessary to manage scale and growth. Now, does outsourcing translate into a reduced need for CPAs in the US? Absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form. I started my career in public accounting in 2008, and our practice has only grown, headcount has only grown, open requisitions have only grown, and the need and the request to hire CPAs has only grown. So in my 16 years, I have not seen a retraction, but for the exception of 08, 09 with the Great Recession where just no one was hiring. Outside of a massive global recession, the industry is not going to go anywhere. So it's not going to be replaced with AI. It's not going to be replaced with offshore resources. It's not going to be replaced with computers. It is only going to become bigger and more volume fueled and more thoughtful in all of the analysis that we're able to apply to clients.
It's a great answer, Ms. Thompson. Thank you so much. I hope that inspires all of you to really want to move down this road faster now, because the demand for you getting a CPA license is high. Absolutely. So I'm going to end with, there are some other questions that I'll tackle from the chat, but I want to go around one more time to our panelists and just kind of throw out to you any final tips for everyone out here. We've got, well over 100 that are, interested. I'm not sure at what point they are on the path, but maybe some words of encouragement, some tips about how to make that successful entry into the profession. So we'll kind of go around. President Rosenbaum, I will start with you.
Okay, great. I mean, I would encourage anyone, and I guess I'm speaking more once you have begun your path toward your CPA and are employed, and that is to be as curious as you can be. And I don't mean that you really ought to be, spending your entire day with quote unquote self-improvement, but the idea there is that, do your work, but always be interested in how whatever you're doing fits into the big picture. I think that too many times, you get a little overwhelmed and you put blinders on and you're only focusing on what you're doing. But I would say, step back, take a broader look, and remain curious.
Ms. Lotta.
Yes, just to piggyback on Mr. Rosenbaum, if you're already at a public accounting firm or in private industry, I would say, again, with curiosity, if you are asking questions, not necessarily to focus on the answer, but to really focus on understanding what it is that you're doing. So whoever is your supervisor, make sure that you're asking them questions to gain understanding of why they made a particular decision or how things are interrelated. That will gain you clarity a lot faster if you're just asking like, well, how do I do this? Or what's the answer to this? So just focus on really being a sponge and learning how to understand things. Same thing as you're studying your exam materials. I know it's tough, but try to not like cram, especially the areas of focus where you want to have your career in. Seek to really understand what you're studying, because you don't think it will come in handy, but it will. All that information's in the back of your mind, and it'll all start making sense the more you get experience. And studying feels a little like challenging in a sense of like it doesn't really connect the dots to your profession until you actually get in there and do some audits, do some tax returns. Then what you've learned in school and with your exam course, if you take it, it'll all start to fall into place. So I would say that, and just make sure you get plugged into, I would recommend starting in a public accounting firm if you want to get your CPA license. There's just far more support in that realm than starting in private industry. And you're often seen as much more valuable later if you've had that experience in public accounting. Then you want to switch into private industry. It's a fairly easy transition, and you're very desired to do so later. So I just think you'll get more support, not only from your peers who are also taking the CPA exam at the same time, but there's usually firms have a lot of benefits and support in terms of, helping with the cost of your exam and just getting greater training than you would maybe starting in private industry where you're just learning that particular job that you're doing.
Thank you for that. All right, Mr. Russell.
I would just like to bring up that having your CPA license is a great foundation. I've worked with many professionals across various fields in my career, and a lot of them had their CPA license, and it catapulted them into another area that they never thought they would be in. One of our panelists mentioned earlier, and I apologize because I was fighting the technology, that you can work in sports, you can work in movies. A good friend of mine is a CPA for MGM. There's so many opportunities because CPAs are needed in every field. So we're not pigeonholed into, crunching numbers behind a desk like people think. So having that as kind of a foundation, I think the best advice is that you don't have to necessarily utilize all of those tools as you evolve in your career. Even as President Rosenberg mentioned, getting into forensic accounting, possibly testifying in court. There's just so many opportunities that being a CPA opens up to you that I know I didn't know when I was in your position, and it's been exciting to see.
Yeah, I love that reference. So many industries, so many possibilities. That's great. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Ms. Thompson.
Yeah, I really echo what everyone has said before me. I have worked with hundreds, I don't know, maybe thousands of CPAs over the course of my career at the firm, who've left for other firms, who've left for private industry, who've left for a career change. And the one constant that I can recall from every single one of them is no one regretted getting their CPA. No one regretted maintaining that license. They, maybe 10 years down the line, they ended up switching careers and they no longer use it. They may be inactive, but the road or the doors that the CPA opened for them allowed them to kind of progress and grow in a career that maybe they desired, or maybe even outside of the firm, but the license opened that door. So I would say definitely take it as soon as you get out of school, by the way, or even start when you're in school, because I will say you lose the ability to study very quickly. It's a unique skill set I've found out over time. So take it as soon as you're able to, but I would really encourage you, if you think accounting is at least where you want to start with your career, which I assume everyone on this call is leaning in that direction, I would really encourage you to get the license, take the exam. Yes, it's not the easiest exam, but once it's behind you, it will not be something that you regret. It will be a differentiator that follows you throughout your career.
I love that. All right. Thank you. Everyone give them all a virtual round of applause. I know we can't hear you, but that was a lot of collective knowledge and expertise from those four panelists. So Joe Rosenbaum, Christian Lotta, Teresa Thompson, and Jason Russell, thank you so much for being a part of it and sharing those real life stories. You're in there, you're doing it on an everyday basis. And I hope that was, for all of you watching, very encouraging. And you're ready with even more vigor to get out there and pursue that. So I'll just spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so now kind of going through and answering some of the questions from the chat. I know we were a little late getting started. I was trying to end it right at 7:30, but I'll stick around for a few more minutes if you want to hang on and answer some questions. First of all, before you head out, I will let you know that we did record this session. So within, a week or so, we will post it up on the website. We'll also post all the slides up there as well, so you can have those resources at your fingertips if you want to go through and watch it again. It was so amazing. So that'll be up on the website under the communications and outreach section. So you can do that. Like I said, follow us on our social medias for lots more up-to-date information. There was a question about the NTS, whether for core or discipline, is it the same thing? So with any particular NTS, you can select just one section. You could, if you were crazy, select all 4. So it doesn't matter. It could be one discipline, one core on with each NTS. The only thing is, remember, the NTS is only good for 9 months. So don't bite off more than you can chew. I wouldn't recommend selecting all 4, because then you would have to take them all within the 4 months. But you can also have more than one NTS open at any given time. So that's how the NTS works. Vandana, I believe, said completed both the experience and education requirements. Do I have to do my review course before I apply for my license? No. So that requirement, which used to be the PEP, which is gone as of July 1st. So there are no additional requirements for licensure. So that regulatory review course will be for your first renewal. So that will be at some point 6 to 24 months past. Your renewal date will be based on your birthday. So you'll learn all about that once you become licensed. So that will happen after. Also, I want to give a shout out to Deanne Pierce, who's one of our staff members, and I see she's been diligently answering a lot of these questions in the chat already. So thank you, Deanne, for that. Like Monique said, hold up, I've been about to study for my PEP. I don't know, I probably won't be able to find it, but she said something like that. So yeah, so Monique, the PEP is gone. You can't even purchase it at this point. So that's that is a thing of the past. So anyone licensed beginning July 1st will not have to worry about that, and you will have to take that regulatory review course at your first renewal. Someone asked, Lydia, do you have 3 years to pass the 4 sections? Not quite. It's 30 months, so that's about 2.5 years. But that did recently increase. It used to be 18 months, and then I think around December or January, it got extended to 30 months. So you do have 2.5 years. Kara mentioned about submitting her transcripts again. Let's see what your question was. So you submit your transcripts for, do we need to submit transcripts again for the CPA for license application while we went through the education evaluation for exam? So no, you don't have to send them again unless there are more courses that you need, right, to fulfill the licensure. So, and then she asked, what are the different education requirements? I went through all that, but remember, so for the exam, it's just the bachelor's degree, 24 units of accounting, 24 units of business subjects. Additional for licensure is the 20 more units of accounting, 10 units of ethics, and you must have that grand total of 150. So the exam educational requirements are here. Then there are a few additional ones for licensure. And again, we will hold on to your applications, transcripts, like I said, even experience forms, you can send those in early. We will have that on file for you once you actually apply. Let's see if we need to go through. There was the question about, are there any updates regarding 150 perhaps changing to 120? We did mention all that, but again, that is, a lot of those things require actual changes to the law. So that is nothing that's going to happen overnight. Like I said, a consensus hasn't even been reached yet to where this might be going. So we're still significantly down the road. It's I don't want to say several years, but it's definitely down the road a little bit before any of those major things. But those discussions are happening. If you have strong opinions, feel free to watch our next board meeting, which is happening, like I mentioned, July 25th and 26th. We always take public comments, and we're always interested in what everyone has to say. Here is, maybe I'll throw panelists. Would you be willing to tackle this? Maybe Ms. Thompson or Mr. Russell, you both have mentioned in hiring, do you think a person who is a non-business major but has a CPA license can be disadvantageous when finding a job? Is that something that you would look at when hiring, or is just the CPA enough?
I would say, at least at PwC, the CPA is more than enough. We actually are looking for non-traditional accounting majors. We have a lot of folks in engineering, economics, general business, computer science, and they tend to practice a little bit more in our advisory space, where it's a little bit more sector driven. But I would say no. If you are pursuing a non-business major, but you have enough accounting units to still sit and test and take the CPA, you are just as qualified as any other candidate. Probably even more so, honestly, if you already have your CPA.
I agree with Ms. Thompson there. We have seen the necessity for having other majors and other backgrounds, especially on the advisory services. We've done a lot with people in the hospitality realm in creating our client service advisors. And I kind of call them the people that are able to translate from the technical CPA side to the customer service side. So there's a ton of value, and I think it'll be to your advantage to maybe not necessarily have the underlying accounting degree, but have the CPA license.
Great. Couple of questions about renewing the license and then the CE requirements. So really quickly, so the license renewal period is every 2 years. The first one may not be the exact. Remember, I said it's based on your birthday when you'll actually have your first renewal. But after your first renewal, they will fall into place every 2 years. And there is continuing education requirements to make sure you're up to date with the latest technology, or just kind of that lifelong learning. Being a CPA is always being inquisitive, right, and wanting to learn. So there are 80 hours of continuing education required at each renewal. 20 of them, at least 20 of them, have to be within the first year. So you can't wait till the very end and cram in all 80 hours. So that's what those requirements are as you continue to renew. A question about chartered accountancy from another country. Remember, we talked about the foreign evaluation providers. There's more information about that on the website, but no, you don't have to start all over. We'll look into that. There's a lot that goes into that, so it'd be tough to explain in one short sitting. But and then one more question, 30-month testing window. Correct. It used to be 18 months. And now it has been increased to 30 months. And I saw you had a question earlier that was very math-based. Unit valuation, you have 6 AP courses, which got college credits. Then you have 27 semester units, but then you transfer to a quarter system university. So whatever quarter system units you get, we multiply those by 2/3, right? So if you earned 30 quarter units, that's equivalent to 20 semester units. See, we're all CPAs, we can do the math here, right? No, I'm not a CPA, but so that's how it works. So we would take whatever quarter units, multiply by 2/3, and then add those to whatever semester units to get you to your 150. Look at that, doing a little math. On that note, I think we'll call it quits. But thank you so much again for everyone attending. We will have this posted on the website again afterwards. Remember, feel free, use our email addresses if need to, if you have other questions. And remember, the CPA is absolutely here to help you along your journey. And I hope that CPA roadmap was helpful to you. Thanks again for attending this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your summer. And until next time, goodbye from the California Board of Accountancy.